Hello Year 2 students, my name's Ella and we're at lesson 43. Today you will need your learning book and you will need lots of collections of things. You can see I've got quite a few things in front of me because today we are making patterns. Alright, so let's start with our number talk, and today we have some bar models. Do you remember we did some for part, whole? So we've got part, and whole, and we've done a lot of these in previous lessons. So for our number warm-up, let's get going with the first one. We can see the whole is 97 and the parts are placed here. So we need to find out what's missing. If I have a whole that's 97 and I have already found or used my 90, my 9 tens, what's missing? What's the other part? Sometimes we can look at the gap or the difference. We can look at this as an addition or subtraction. It's a beautiful problem to solve. Okay, so I think you might know if I have 97 as a whole, I have 90 already. The missing part is our ones, and in our ones we have 7 ones. So 90 and 7 is 97. Or we could say 7 ones, a little bit bigger, 7 ones and 9 tens will give us 97. Nice work. An interesting next problem. 368. 368 is our whole. What are our parts? And look, I've already got one part here, and that part is the 3 hundredths and the 8 ones. So which part is missing? I've used my hundreds and my ones. The part that's missing is 6. This is a 60, 6 tens. So 6 tens is 60, and that is my missing part. 308 add 60 is 368. Part, whole. Okay, and our lucky last. Interesting. I have 2 parts but no whole. These 2 parts come together to form the whole. 70 and 30. I can see that this also is 7 and 3 without the tens. So 70 and 30 will give me 100. What a beautiful maths problem to solve. And there we have our parts to make our wholes. Well done. Okay, now last lesson we did some wonderful work on skip counting, and we wrote some down, and Jenny's been able to share her book with me, and we have some skip countings by 2s, 4s, I think here, 3s. We could have done 5s and 10s as well. So I hope your learning book has got some skip counting in there, and I hope your counting is becoming more fluent. All right. Okay, so today's learning intention is to make, find and explore patterns, and that's why you can see so many in front of me. And we'll know that we can do this when we see a pattern and we can describe what is happening in the pattern. Okay, I have some beautiful examples in front of me. The first one I'm going to make with you. So we have a lovely little green apple and a lovely little red apple. I'm going to continue the pattern by showing you green, then red, green, then red, green, then red. So we can describe this pattern as green, red, green, red, green, red, or we could describe it using a symbol. For instance, we can use our letters A, B, A, B, A, B. We can see that that's an alternating pattern. Some tricky words there, but I think we're up to it. So we call this green, red, or A, B, A, B. And that's how we can make and describe this pattern. Okay, let's get thinking about the next one. Goodness me, what have we got here? Well, we could call this orange, orange, blue, blue, orange, orange, blue, blue. And that continues. We can see that that description of that pattern is continuing through this pattern we have here. But what could we call it if we're using A, B, A, B? We could probably call this one AA, B, B, AA, B, B. Okay, well done, pattern seekers. Let's keep going. Our next pattern we have here is a very interesting one because it's both shapes and colours. So we can make patterns in lots of different ways. What we have here, and we might like to call it triangle, circle, circle, triangle, circle, circle. What would come next? You're right, a triangle would come next. And how could we describe this pattern? Well, we could use the triangles and circles. We could use the colours, yellow, red, red, yellow, red, red. Or remember, we could use our A, B, A, B. So let's give it a go. A, B, B. A, B, B. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Interesting. We could call this purple, purple, yellow, purple, purple, yellow. Let's try our A, B patterns. So we'll call this AA, B, AA, B, AA, B. Okay, so we're describing how these patterns are working and we're getting much better at it. How about you try this one? How would we describe this pattern? Looks like we're running in threes. Glad we could do that in our skip counting. So let's have a think about this. A, B, B, B. A, B, B, B. All right. Yellows, greens, yellows, greens. Now I'd like to show you something a little bit trickier because we've been using our A's and B's to describe the patterns. But what happens if we have three colours? So let's have a look at this. We have a lovely bead line and we have got a yellow, a green and a blue. A yellow, a green and a blue. A yellow, a green and a blue. Now mathematicians, if we have been using A's and B's, how might I describe this pattern? Yeah, let's go back to the alphabet again. So perhaps we could call this A, B, C. A, B, C. A, B, C. So we can use our letters to describe those patterns as well. All right, let's think about some patterns we might see just out and about because they are everywhere if we start looking for them. So I had a quick look around my home and I found some beautiful wrapping paper. I think you can see some patterns in here. We can go diagonally or vertically or horizontally, and each way I go I can count the circles in this pattern. So often we'll see wrapping paper likes to use a pattern. Here's another lovely example. So we can see, if I'm looking at, this is a very colourful, wonderful piece of wrapping paper. If I'm looking for the presents, I can see them here, can't I? I can see one here and one here. And I can also see a lovely pattern that says I'll have a present, 1, 2, 3, a present, 1, 2, 3, a present, 1, 2, 3. All right, what else did I find? I found a tea towel. You might have to go and discover all the tea towels soon. Often tea towels have patterns as well. And if I look at this one, I can look at it horizontally or vertically. I can even have a look at the diagonal patterns. But if I'm looking at the white, I can see I've got white, then pink, white, then pink, white, then pink. And we would call that A, B, A, B, A, B to describe the pattern. Well done. Let's have a look diagonally and we'll see the same one, won't we? Red, then white, red, then white, red, then white. And once again, A, B, A, B, A, B. So the last pattern I'd like to show you before we make one together is a chessboard. I think you can see that here. And of course a chessboard or checkers is a beautiful way of having a look at white and black, white and black, white and black pattern. And diagonally, look at that one, all black, or diagonally all white. So we could call this AB, AB, AB. Or if I went through here, I could call this, not much of a pattern, but it's AAA. It's the same one. Or white, BB, BB. So let's do the last one together. I'll clear the table. Okay, so I've managed to make our pattern. Let's have a look at it. Apples. Green, red, green, red, green, red. And I've made it. I've drawn it. And now we're going to have a look at the pattern. So what have we got here? Well, like I said before, we've got a green, then a red, then a green, then a red, then a green, then a red. But we've been using another system, haven't we? We've been looking at our A's, B's and C's. So I think this pattern is best described as an A, B, A, B, A, B. Let's have a look at numbers too. So I could call this the first in the pattern, the second in the pattern, the third, the fourth, the fifth and the sixth in the pattern. A question we might have about this pattern is what comes next? And I think we might know that the next colour, if we're using an AB, AB, the next colour, or green, red, green, red, green, red, will be green and an A. We'll know that that's our seventh, will be green and an A. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I can see another pattern in our pattern, which is odds, odd numbers, and even numbers. And each time I have an even number, I have a red colour. And each time I have an odd number, I have a green colour. So my question to you might be, I wonder what colour my 10th apple will be. I wonder what colour my 10th apple will be. I wonder if you can see the pattern in that, odds and evens. I'll leave that with you. Just have a little think about it. So our reflection today is patterns are everywhere and they're fun to make, find, describe and continue as you see the patterns. Okay, so let's make, draw and write patterns in our learning books because we'll be doing some more patterns next lesson. I hope to see you then. Bye.